News from the street, 919fm.com. Here's what's happening.
Good afternoon. I am Vanessa Thomas with the 4 o'clock news on the street 919 FM, sponsored by Tech, the power to make it work. In the headlines, Labor Day March will go on as usual, but without the large crowd. The Port of Spain mayor to receive a petition calling for the removal of the Christopher Columbus statue. Monitoring of political conduct begins. And internationally, Texas sees record high COVID-19 cases as 5 other states record surge in new daily infections. And now the news in detail. National Security Minister Stuart Young today announced in Parliament that the usual Labor Day March will take place on the holiday this Friday, but without the large crowds of trade union members usually associated with the event. Young said plans by the Police Commissioner Gary Griffith were reviewed and it is supported by the government during this COVID-19 pandemic. He said the present PNM administration has always recognized and has always consulted with the labor movement. Participants of the march are reminded to practice social distancing rules and to wear face masks. In other news, Health Minister Terence Deyalsingh says students writing the secondary entrance assessment examination in August will not be required to wear face masks. Speaking at the virtual meeting today, Deyalsingh said the invigilators will, however, be required to do so. A total of 19,344 students will sit the SEA exam on August 20th. Social distancing rules will be enforced. And the mayor of Port of Spain is expected to receive a petition calling for the removal of the Christopher Columbus statue. The Crossroads Freedom Project has over 8,000 signatures, which will be handed over to Mayor Joel Martinez. The call is for the Columbus monument to be moved from its current public place in Port of Spain to a museum where it can be properly contextualized. The organization is also calling for the establishment of a commission to review not only statues, but also the names of public buildings, streets, plazas, and plaques. The organization said taking back public spaces to honor real heroes will not fix all our problems, but it will help shape the minds of upcoming generations and signal to the world that we have the capacity to understand our past and the will and moral character to imagine and construct a better future. Meanwhile, Ambassador of Spain to TNT, Javier Cabosa, said it would be a great cause of sadness to him and his government if the statue of Christopher Columbus is removed from Port of Spain. In more news, the monitoring of activities by political parties and their stakeholders in the run-up to the 2020 general elections has begun. This was confirmed by the Council for Responsible Political Behavior. In an official statement issued today, the Council reminds all parties, candidates and their supporters to adhere to the Code of Ethical Political Conduct. The 11th Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago will automatically be dissolved on September 23rd, 2020. That is, if it is not dissolved sooner. Once Parliament is dissolved, elections must be held within 3 months. Meaning the 2020 general elections in Trinidad and Tobago must be held before December 23rd, 2020. Finally, on the international scene, coronavirus cases and hospitalizations in Texas have spiked to record highs this week, as daily new infections also surge in 5 other states, and health officials warn the U.S. hasn't even passed the first COVID-19 wave. The number of new cases in Texas hit a record high of 2,622 on Tuesday, marking a rising tide of cases for a second consecutive week. Texas had previously recorded the highest daily tally of the pandemic just 1 week ago when infections hit 2,504. Health officials in many states blamed the spike on businesses reopening and Memorial Day weekend gatherings in late May. And that was the 4 p.m. news on the street 919 FM, sponsored by TN Tech, the power to make it work. Recapping the headlines, Labor Day March will go on as usual, but without the large crowd. The Port of Spain mayor to receive a petition calling for the removal of the Christopher Columbus statue. Monitoring of political conduct begins, and internationally, Texas sees record high COVID-19 cases as 5 other states record surge in new daily infections. Do have a good afternoon. I am Vanessa Thomas.
In service to customers.